The Soul and Death is a short essay written by Carl Jung in 1934. It details Jung's perspective on our attitude towards the end of life and the unreasonable fear of death that is promulgated by modern society. Jung presents the course of life as resembling the arc of a curve, whereby the goal is first to reach the summit, but second to reach the landing. Jung's essay calls us to reconsider our biases towards human existence and the underlying meaning of religious and spiritual truths. It is collected in Volume 8 of his collected works, directly following the essay The Stages of Life, which is a relevant companion. The latter shall be linked in the description below. We now proceed with a simplified abridgment of the text. Many people have asked me about my beliefs on death, the seemingly uncomplicated end of individual existence. Death, to us, is simply the conclusion. When we face death, life appears as a descending flow or a winding down clock. The urgency of life's meaning becomes most apparent when witnessing someone's final moments. The contrast between a young person pursuing goals and an old person reluctantly nearing the end raises questions about life's purpose. We easily label a fearful young person as neurotic, but the fear of aging and the limited time left is often met with avoidance and platitudes about death being inevitable. The optimism we apply to the young fails us in contemplating our own mortality. In solitary moments, the darkness of impending death, with its relentless reminders of time passing, engulfs us in fear and vulnerability. Many young people fear life, even as they desire it intensely. Similarly, many aging individuals fear death. Those who feared life in their youth often suffer from the fear of death later on. Life is an energy process with an inherent teleological urge, a striving towards a goal. In youth, this drive manifests as a longing for the world and high hopes. However, if caught in the past or in avoiding necessary risks, it can lead to fear, neurotic resistances, depressions, and phobias. As life reaches maturity, the goal shifts, and the curve descends with the same intensity. Yet, psychological resistance sometimes causes a delay in acknowledging this natural progression. People may cling to the summit they have reached, fearing the descent. This fear impedes the natural flow of life, preventing a smooth psychological transition and causing consciousness to lag behind the biological curve. Life is the nourishing soil of the soul, and those who resist its flow become rigid and wooden in old age, clinging to the past with a fear of death. Only those willing to die with life remain vitally alive in the second half of life, where death becomes the goal. The denial of life's fulfillment is akin to refusing its ending, representing a rejection of both living and dying. Our consciousness often resists this truth, clinging to the past and avoiding the acceptance of aging. It is essential to understand that relative longevity is a product of civilization. Primitive cultures fully assimilate their age, while we always see ourselves to be younger or older than we are. This discrepancy suggests a hybris of consciousness, defying nature and altering our perception of the timing of life. Life is like a projectile, with death as its ultimate goal. Just as we assign purpose to life's ascent, we should consider the meaningful preparation for death in its descent. While I won't claim a specific belief in an afterlife, many religions view death as a significant transition. Major religions, such as Christianity and Buddhism, emphasize that life's meaning finds fulfillment in death, suggesting that existence serves as preparation for this ultimate goal. Religions are often misunderstood as mere philosophical inventions originating from the intellect. However, this is a rationalistic misconception. Religious symbols emerge from a deep, non-conscious level, perhaps the heart, which is distinct from deliberate thought. These symbols have a revelatory nature, spontaneously manifesting from the unconscious. Observing individuals reveals the genuine, valid creation of religious symbols from the same unconscious source as major world religions. Religions are not conscious constructions, but naturally arise from the unconscious psyche, reflecting universal truths about human psychological nature. A psychological truth is just as valid as a physical one, each having their domains in the psyche and matter, respectively. The collective human psyche, as reflected in religions, aligns with the idea that death is life's fulfillment and true goal, rather than a mere cessation. Holding a rationalistic view isolates one from human nature, much like the alienation seen in neuroses, distorted thinking detached from the taproot of the psyche. Nature instinctively readies itself for death. Young minds predominantly fantasize about the future, while the aging, looking backward, also anticipate death, preparing unconsciously for the end. In old age, focusing on death is not neurotic, but aligns consciousness with the natural psyche. In my extensive experience, many individuals exhibit symbols in their unconscious psyche that herald the approach of death. These symbols, akin to those denoting psychological changes in normal life, often appear in dreams, foretelling death long before it occurs. Surprisingly, the unconscious psyche seems relatively indifferent to death itself, but is deeply concerned with how one approaches it. I once treated a woman, aged 62, who vehemently denied the unpleasant messages in her dreams. However, when faced with an incurable illness, she entered a moribund state, during which she spontaneously resumed self-analysis. For weeks, she confronted the truths she had vehemently denied before, ultimately calming herself before peacefully passing away. This suggests that the unconscious is more interested in the attitude toward death than death itself. The notion of an individual consciousness coming to an end is certain, but whether this disrupts the continuity of the psychic process is not certain, due to evolving perspectives on the psyche's connection to the brain. Parapsychological evidence strongly supports the reality of telepathic phenomena, challenging the limitations of space and time, and hinting at the psyche's potentially transcendent nature. While space and time are fundamental certainties for our perception, telepathic events are suggestive of existence beyond space and time. Despite the overwhelming certainty of our usual perception, it's essential to recognize our inherent psychological bias towards it. Our inability to conceive existence without space and time doesn't prove its impossibility. Doubting the absolute validity of space-time perception is not only permissible, but imperative, given the available facts. The hypothetical idea that the psyche might connect with an existence beyond space and time raises a scientific question that deserves ongoing consideration. Similar uncertainties in theoretical physics suggest a need for cautious exploration in psychology. Doubts about the limitations of space, time, and causality are more justified than ever in contemporary thinking. The nature of the psyche is just as enigmatic as the vast universe, and human understanding faces comparable limitations in contemplating the psyche as it does in contemplating the galaxies. The uncertainty surrounding the psyche renders intellectualistic debates dull and absurd. When contemplating the possibility that the psyche participates in an existence beyond space and time, critical reason can only respond with the indecision of science. The embrace of this idea aligns with a universal inclination ingrained in the human psyche and offers us an advantage over those who resist it. Denying such innate truths leads to conflict and upheaval, akin to consciously denying our instincts and facing uprootedness and disorientation. Furthermore, the mistaken belief that radical and immediate transformation is possible fuels societal and psychological errors. Real change or improvement has always been a gradual process, and attempting otherwise results in neurotic restlessness, leading to a soul sickness marked by a lack of meaning in life. Understanding this is crucial in an era still grappling with the profound consequences of overlooking these fundamental truths. And with that, we conclude The Soul and Death by Carl Jung. I do hope you found this video stimulating and encourage you to continue with the essay titled The Stages of Life. Please consider subscribing to the channel with notifications on to be notified of more videos like this one, and consider supporting this channel via one of the methods listed below. Thank you for listening, and have a good rest of your day,